Hey everybody, this is PJ Riley from Competition Archery Media out here at the Easton Hoyt Pro-Am, Camp Minden, Louisiana. We're here for the Mathews Shot of the Week. Cara Kelly is our pro who's going to take her attempts to try and coach me into a shot here. Cara, we'll talk about that later. But first off, how was the range for you today? We are on, this is B range?
Yes.
B range,
yes.
Okay.
Yep. It was great. It was a little bit of everything. You better pay attention to your sight tape because you were moving all day long.
Yeah.
Like from close to far, you named it. Tree play, angles, lighting, foliage. My northern friends, a lot of foliage. Very deceiving, very tricky. Really had to rely on making good decisions. So.
All right, so Cara, one of the reasons that I wanted to shoot with you, well, first off, because I know you're a genius. I want to hear your thoughts about all this stuff. But besides, actually, before we continue, I should mention, so one of the reasons that I don't have a lot of weight on my bars is because of what you told me. So, credit for that.
Last year, right?
Yes, last year here. Yeah. And it works wonderful.
Good.
Anyway, that aside, so you have the lower speed threshold here among the pro classes. It's 280 feet per second.
Correct. And
then with the 3%, it's like 288 max?
Correct. Yeah, 288.
Okay. So here I am thinking, all right, I'm going to turn down my bow. You know, I may have to set up my arrows heavier. But I thought, well, let me see where I'm starting at. So I'm only pulling 60 pounds. Well, I'm only shooting 286 anyway.
Right.
So I didn't have to really do anything.
You're running right on the...
But, you know, the reason I wanted to talk about that was when I'm doing the broadcast, Darren Christenberry talks about, you know, at 40 yards, 1 yard is about 3 inches. And I'm sitting there the whole time thinking, man, I feel like it's more than that.
Yeah.
But I'm shooting much slower than he is.
Right. You've been putting yourself at a disadvantage for all this time. You guys hear that?
That's going to be my excuse.
You should.
I'll go with that.
Roll with it. Roll with it.
But for you shooting, okay, I'll ask you, when you're at 50 yards, 1 yard, what does that do?
You're seeing a good inch, for me, a good inch in a rise.
Is that right?
Yeah, or I mean a fall, it depends. Obviously your arrow's gonna rise a lot slower than it's going to fall at a 282, 284 range. That's why you see a lot of women that run skinny arrows. I was one that did that forever, and I do at IBO, because I feel like it keeps me in the 10 ring more consistently.
Right.
But here I like to run like 282. 283 is my speed, and shoot a 23 diameter.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's a lot that goes into, when you're at that speed cap, there's a lot that goes into thinking about how can I stay in the 10 ring and be safe, and when to get aggressive and when not to.
Yeah.
And so, you know, we get harassed sometimes for our scores. And I'm like, you know, we're shooting 10 feet slower than the guys are on the same ranges. So it is a big difference.
Yeah. All right, well, Cara, we picked a technical target here, I'll call that. Lots of factors, which I think is cool. Let's go check this one out. All right, so Cara, we have a wolf. I think it's a wolf. I can see about 40% of it. And so I'll tell you what I see, what elements I see, and then you tell me which ones I'm missing. But obviously we're standing in this bright light.
Correct. Right
now it's in dark, but I was standing here for a little bit and the sun would blow it up. It would come in and hit it, and then it goes away. There's a tree right in front of that thing that's just under the 12 ring that I told you I was going to hit.
Right, and all that needs to be visible is the 8 ring, like the, you know, your long area. So yeah, short people would struggle on this. You have height to your advantage.
It's downhill and it's on a side hill.
Yes.
So bubble issues there as well.
And you talked about the trees.
What am I? Oh, and the one tree. But then there's trees like blocking right through his neck and blocking his face and his head. Basically, you can see that front shoulder. That's what you can see clearly.
Right. So walking up to this target, how do you feel?
not confident, but
A little
that's not
intimidated?
unusual. Intimidated, yes. I like that word.
So mentally at that point, obviously everybody has to shoot it, right?
Yeah.
So I think it's very important, especially when you're judging or even shooting known, that you walk up to a target and you're like, you know what? This is working against me, but I got this. So talk yourself up a little.
Okay, all right.
You okay? So you talked about all the things that are working against you, so now you need to talk yourself up. Pull yourself out of it.
Gotcha. Okay.
And
I own this target,
you
so it's
own
one
this
I'm
target.
familiar with.
Okay, good. So
There's a positive.
And for me, this is actually one of the targets that I struggle with the most from an aiming perspective.
Me too.
And I feel like it's just because, I don't know if it's the neckline for me or the fact that the 10 is just a little farther up into
It's where
the
that
neck.
12 is for
Yes.
me. It's funky.
Yes.
Just when I look through the scope.
Yeah, so you need to play that into your decision making as to if you're going to call upper
Yeah.
or you're going to play lower.
Right.
Because you already talked about the fact that that lower 12 is just over that tree.
Yes.
So where do you feel, especially judging yardage, where are you going to feel comfortable holding and aiming?
When I shoot this one, I tend to aim at the upper.
Okay. So that's
that's
a good positive
Yeah.
play here, right? Mentally, that's a positive play for you. That's an easy decision for you to make then.
Right.
So, and then obviously from a judging perspective, I'll let you go ahead and judge, but you've talked about
Yes.
all the key points.
We'll give the number. I'll range it after you shoot it. But I think this one. So I will say, you're talking about positives. I at least feel positive that there's a couple trees down there versus just the straight lane.
Correct.
So I kind of like that.
Good.
Because then I got, okay, there's that. All right.
Now, I'm going to
Go
just
ahead.
think about your process.
Yes.
And I think the biggest part with judging yardage is looking at what you can find consistently, because we lose a lot of ground here.
Yes.
Right? So find a consistent number that you feel comfortable with and then run that to the target.
Gotcha.
And then run that number take that from the target back to your confident ground number, because you've lost a lot of yardage here.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
We cannot see a good portion of yardage
Right.
from that hill bank to that first tree, and then from that first big tree that's on the right to the second big tree on the
Yes.
left.
Yeah, I'm going
So
by
perception is everything here.
Right.
And then when you add the lighting factor into it, when I shot this target today, it was bright.
Right.
It looked a mile to me.
And that would kill
But it
my
was very,
pin.
very bright.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
So yes. So all those things you have to take into
All right.
effect. So
Okay.
you do you.
I think I have a number. Well, I have a number.
You've got it.
I think it's
And you're calling upper.
I am calling upper, yes. Good, because I usually forget that part. I can say I at least feel good about my shooting this weekend. I shot 5 12s in the team round yesterday.
Oh, that's awesome.
I did hit 2 5s, but
It's okay. It happens to the best of us.
so, all right. I think I have my number.
All right.
Let me just double check my aim. I know
Good
you
strong shot.
I know you like it when it's or you don't like it when it's blown up. I have to say right now, everything looks the same
it does.
to me.
It does. It's
So,
blending in. The target,
I'm like,
the target is definitely blending in with that tree.
just finding the right spot. I think I have a spot. Okay.
Good strong shot.
All right, here we go.
You got it.
I think I'm high.
You are. You're an 8-line high.
8-line high. Okay,
Yes,
it was a
sir.
good shot.
Yes, sir.
Everything was good.
Yes, sir.
I know. You know what I did? At the end, I gave it a couple extra clicks I shouldn't have.
Did you?
I did.
I was a victim of that today.
My first number was right. It was. I'm straight over the 12.
Your line is impeccable.
I should have
Your
stuck with
line
my
is
number.
killer. Yeah.
When Kyle came up to look at me change my sight, I changed it and added 3 yards.
All right. I'm going to go upper too.
just
get it?
on the left side of it.
Ooh.
Right height.
I needed that number earlier now.
I'm not sure if it hit the 12, but it's like right there.
It's
but
in the general vicinity.
I mean, your height is perfect. But while we're here, well, first off, you tell me what you shot it for, and I'll tell you what I shot it for. I haven't looked yet through the rangefinder.
I shot it for 39 and a half.
Oh, darn it. I shot it for 43.
Did you shoot for 43?
I did.
All right. So let's talk about that.
Yes.
Because honestly, like the only time that I ever pick up my rangefinder when I'm practicing is when I make like a major error. Like,
right.
Because obviously you just shot that for 43 yards.
Yes.
And you shot it for too much.
Yes.
And you were shooting at the upper.
Right.
Were you heavy aiming up on the upper?
Yes.
Okay. So really, truly, if you would have been aiming center, even a tick low, like at AS, like at the lower 12,
right,
you would have hung 10 most likely. Because you're only, I mean, like let's look at you're really truly only 1.5 inches to maybe almost 2 inches.
Yeah.
Right? So really, think about that. Think about your play.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you thought, like honestly, like it's a game of strategy. 3D archery is a game of strategy, and where you're going to aim off of arrows that have already been shot. And a lot of times I practice by myself or with my dad with one arrow, to aim off of, or Jason. And so it just depends. And so in this situation, being first up, you played an aggressive play of being comfortable of where you wanted to aim, and you shot probably your higher number.
Yes.
If I had to guess.
I had it set on 40. And I moved it to 43.
And so then you shot your higher number, aiming aggressively at the upper.
And so you're saying my two wrongs did not make it right.
Right. And so, obviously at that point it's to step back and say, okay, what's going to give me a 10 here? Where am I going to feel comfortable aiming? I should probably not shoot my aggressive number at the upper and play back. Now, it goes the same way when you're shooting at a lower. Like when I shoot at a lower and I'm going to be very aggressive, I feel much more comfortable aiming aggressively when I add a half yard or a yard on that.
Gotcha.
Just for the comfortability of it.
Yeah.
But if I'm aiming off of an arrow and I want to fall into it, or I want to strategize aiming up into it, I'd really try not to so much play necessarily with my number, but where I feel comfortable aiming is where I make that adjustment.
All right. Before we go down there, just for the folks at home to give them the number, I won't say it because we have folks back there, but we'll list it in the link there.
Does that all make sense?
Yes,
in terms of,
it does.
Okay.
Let's go see these arrows down there. Let's check them out. All right, so Cara.
Ooh, no bueno.
Straight high, but we both have the same line, which you were just telling me.
Well, we absolutely shot on a bit of a side hill here. Like the shot is placed and this animal is up on an incline slightly, and he's also quartered away from us slightly as well. So with both of those factors in play, you have to really pay attention to your bubble. So we absolutely probably faded out a tick on our bubble as the shot broke.
I would not be surprised if that was the case.
Yes.
But yeah, we mentioned...
Great line. Fantastic line. You should be so impressed. That's perfect.
Everything felt good about the shot, but like you said, I had basically the right number. 40 for me probably would have been in there with my little drop.
Right.
But going 43, I went high, but I changed it. And as you were saying, being aggressive and aiming at the top was my mistake.
Yes. Yeah. So if you think about, this distance, and if you were playing the lower game or even aiming IBO center, you would have absolutely still stayed a 10 or been just flirting with it.
Right.
So you made the choice of being aggressive on the upper with your high number.
With my high number.
So when you do both of those things together, you're kind of, that's risky. That's risky.
Yeah.
But you were confident.
Yes.
So you made a good, strong shot. But
so you're saying I have to be confident and be able to think at the same time?
I always say don't think, just shoot. But there's a lot of strategy that goes into this game, without a doubt. And it's knowing like where you tend to aim and what you tend to do, and making good good decisions along the way.
That's one of the things I appreciate about the unknown game is the strategy. It's not just range it, find your spot, aim and hit it. It's all this.
Right. There's so much that goes into it. In this shot especially, there's so much that goes into what can I see, where am I comfortable aiming, what should I do and what should my play be, and paying attention, then making the shot on top of it, making sure you stay in your bubble and you really break a good strong shot. And yeah, so you did fantastic, by the way. And had you played like IBO, you probably would have hung a 10 and even caught that upper.
Story of my life, Cara.
Yes.
That was great, but I'm used to that.
You did great. You did great. So.
Well, thanks, Cara. We definitely appreciate your time and all the insights. Folks, thanks for joining us. Another episode of Mathews Shot of the Week.